Meeting will please come to order. Welcome to our April 21st meeting, the last meeting of April. We want to acknowledge our student representatives, Jay Halba from Bear Creek High School and Carlos Casillas from McNair High School. Welcome, gentlemen. All the board members are accounted for. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Including CSEA. That's right.
We have a report from closed session. KC waivers. George Neely moved. Darrell Talkin second that the board approve the placement of California high school exit exam waivers for students 2014-2015, number 27, by a vote of 7-0. Personnel matters. George Neely motion, Darrell Talkin second. The board approved the appointment of Elodia Ortega Lampkins as Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education, effective date to be announced by the following vote of 7-0. Congratulations to Mrs. Lampkins. We have one potential case, 51666. Darrell Talkin motion, George Neely second, that the board vote to reject claim 501666 by the following vote of 7-0. At this moment, ladies and gentlemen, board and all concerned, I'd like to have a moment of silence for one of our great educators, Gary Fujihara, that taught at Lodi High School, that had a heart attack during the between breaks of the Board of Education. Please, a moment of silence. Thank you. We have recognitions. Ms. Pennington.
Good evening, President Nava and members of the board. We always love recognitions, and tonight we're going to start off with recognizing two students from Joe Cerna Junior Charter School who are the winners of the American Red Cross Hero Essay Contest. This is Maria Cervantes. Their principal is here to introduce the two students. And Mr. Nava, I think you have a couple of certificates
yes,
to
I do,
award to them.
Dolly. I was wondering what I was going to do with it.
Good evening, Board President, Superintendent Washer, members of the board. It is with great pride that I introduce Mr. Tafari Lee. Big round of applause for Tafari Lee. Ms. Jaden Ha, also a winner amongst over 500 essays that were submitted in San Joaquin County. These are the two students that won the two different grade levels. And so we're very proud. It was a hero essay that they each wrote, sponsored by the American Red Cross. So we're very proud of them. And I'd like their families to come up and so that we can give them a round of applause as well. They've been a part of the great success that our students have accomplished.
Tafari Lee, congratulations, young man, for all the good work. Huh? baton. Congratulations. Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
You know, you always think as a teacher that all the support, I can see the support of the parents here. When they're supported, by golly, our students are in great shape. There's some that need a little more support, and hopefully that this will be the case, you know, when they start going up at that age. Thank you. Another recognition, first place winners from our superintendent's poetry contest. Dr. Washer.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'm very excited to present to you some of our winners from the superintendent's poetry contest this year. We had almost 1,000 entries, which is getting to be the norm for the poetry contest, and that's due to our teachers encouraging writing in their classrooms and submitting the poems on behalf of their students. I have to tell you that this is really a beautiful way to see what's happening in the classrooms with writing, because a lot of the teachers will submit class sets of the poems, and you can really get a good glimpse of the creativity that's going on in the classrooms, and just the level of writing is extremely impressive. It was very difficult to make decisions this year. In fact, it was so difficult that I decided not to make the decision on the high school section, but to get a real poet involved. We did have a professor from Sac State help us with the finalists in determining the winners, first, second, and third place for the high school division. So we're appreciative of that. But we have some of the winners here tonight that are going to read their poem for you. So I'd like to introduce you to Juan Cortez, who won the first through second grade category. So I'm going to ask Juan, Miss Pennington, if you wouldn't mind escorting Juan up to a microphone.
I am a cheetah, orange as a juicy tangerine. I hunt in the dark night. I eat in the grass. I can camouflage in the grass. I can protect my babies. I am cheetah.
Claremont, and I know that his principal is here, and so is his family. So thank you so much for bringing him tonight. We also, I'm going to ask, I know that our high school winner is here. I'm going to ask if there are any other poetry contest winners here that I didn't see come in. We do have one in the back.
Dr. Washer, we have a student from Reese School, Victor, that is here.
Victor!
And another poetry
And is
contest.
Alexandra here?
Yes.
Okay, if you don't mind, let's start with Alexandra. Alexandra Souza from Reese. Alexandra won the 3rd through 4th grade contest.
Hey dogs day. Jump, tuck, spin, twirl. I do this all on my collar that's pearl. Run, growl, grin, bark. I have so many dreams when I'm sleeping in the dark. Pizzas, tacos, hamburgers too, but I usually get 1 cup of dry dog food. Maybe 2. Take a walk, a bath, get dressed in doll clothes. My owners even make me wear pink bows. Lick, bite, fetch, chew. These are all things dogs love to do. To the vet or to the park is when I take a drive. And boy, when I stick my head out the window, I feel so alive. Now I'm exhausted from such a busy day. I think I'll find a nice fun place to lay.
Family, Alexandra's family here too. Thank you for bringing her. Our winner in the 6th through 8th grade division, you may recognize the name Victor Plunkett from Reese because he has been up here before reading a poem. So come on back.
Well, first thing, I would like to thank the board for letting me present this poem. It is called King Cobra. Slipping silently through the grass, quietly I slither smoothly, disguised in the darkness, cunning and quick, I lurk and linger as I hunt. Flicking my tongue in and out, I track my victim as I go about. I am poisonous to my prey, so stay far, far away. Cold-blooded, calculated, and quiet too, my coils know exactly what to do. With one smooth move, soon I will strike. Jaws open wide, my fangs dig deep. With paralyzing venom, your mind to keep. Swallowing whole, I will devour, taking my prey with persisting power.
Thank you. Victor's family, if you could give a wave, thank you so much. And this was the year of the Bear. Bear Creek took first, second, and third place in the high school division. And Gozi, could you please come up and read your winning poem?
My poem is entitled Culture, and I wrote it about my culture. Blaring music throbs steadily, mingling with the loud, accented voices so readily, inhaling in the aroma of curry and pounded yam. In a moment, which I realize who I am, floating cacophony of culture, but an unsettling feeling looms over me like a vulture. I stop, look down, and am astounded. I see a sight that leaves me dumbfounded. My sheath of skin does not fit in, it's dotted with stripes and stars, and it's missing all the hardship scars. When blood pours out, it's not just red, but instead a swirl of colors, green, white, blue, red, white, all as fierce, resilient, and bright as the stars in the night. But then I lift my head and see everyone is as colorful as me.
You got a wow from Miss Pennington, and that's worth more than the prize I gave you. And Gozi, Eloike, your family here? Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, board, for allowing us time to share.
Thank you, Dr. Washer. Thank you, winners. Congratulations. Great poetry. We'll continue on with our agenda. Superintendent's report, Dr. Washer.
Thank you, President Nava. Would like to share with you, got a couple pictures to show you tonight. We had a special visitor to Middle College High School on Delta College campus. You may recognize our state superintendent came and spoke to a class of students. And he also then gave a speech or talk to his students and faculty in the theater. So there's a couple pictures there. So we appreciated his visit and appreciated the Principal Sherry Balin for hosting that event. And we also are working on our recruitment. And as the next picture will show you, we were highlighted in a publication put out by UOP. You may recognize someone in that picture doing some recruitment for us. Okay. Also want to thank and acknowledge the entire personnel department for the event that they put on recently, our second annual certificated job fair. What an incredible and amazing event that was, which resulted in about 95 interviews of potential teacher candidates and other certificated staff as well. Thank all the administrators who helped with this. We had a lot of classified folks involved. This was definitely a team effort. This place was buzzing and humming. There was a lot of planning that went involved, especially in reviewing last year's, making improvements for this year. So congratulations to the personnel department, and thank you to everyone who was involved in that effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Washer. Continuing on with the agenda, we got action items, consent agenda A, routine business. Any board members would like to pull any items on consent agenda A?
Item A8 for purposes of abstaining.
A8. Anybody else? Any members from the audience would like to pull any items from agenda A, routine agenda?
President Nava,
Mr. Womack.
motion to approve consent agenda item A, other than the one that's pulled.
Okay. It was moved by Mr. Womack, second by Mr. Eberly to approve the rest of agenda, routine agenda A. Student vote. Okay. Call for the board vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Mr. President, move approval of A8.
Has been moved to approve A8, second by Mr. Neely, to approve A8. Student vote. Call for the board vote. Motion carries 6-0, one abstention. Continue on with the agenda. Consent agenda B, student discipline cases. Mr. Womack. Mr. Womack moved to approve. Second by Mr. Heberly. On consent agenda B, discipline cases. Students do not vote on this. Call for the board vote. Motion carries 7-0. Continuing on with our agenda. Other action items. Board of Education consider a letter advocating support for the establishment of North County Delta College campus in the greater Lodi area. Mr. Neely.
Thank you, Mr. Nava. Earlier this week, late last week, I was contacted by Councilman Johnson to asking for us to express our support for a Delta College campus here in Lodi. That's been something that's been coming for a long time. It's something we were promised years ago and has yet to be fulfilled, and there are a couple of groups here in the local area that are working on making that a reality. Some good things can come from that. There's been some great ideas. One is to couple the ag departments from the high schools with Delta College in kind of a ventriculture degree or program, and then couple that with UC Davis as well. So there's been some really good suggestions come out of this, and from my point of view, I can't see any downside in not having a Delta College campus. So the letter's been written. It's I'm not going to read it. It's on our website. It's in the agenda. So I'm just going to ask that we approve this, and I'm going to,
President,
further discussion, move to approve.
Yes, sir, Mr.
I would like to thank Mr. Neely for bringing this to the board's attention. This directly hit home when I had to pay for my daughter's gas. She had to drive all the way to Mountain House to get classes that were unavailable in Stockton. I think it's a shame that we're not here in Lodi, so I would move to approve this motion.
Okay, Mr. Freitas, Mr. Neely moved. I would take your second.
I will second in that
How
case.
about that? Moved by Mr. Neely, second by Mr. Freitas to approve this action item of Board of Education advocating support for the establishment of the Delta College campus on the greater Lodi area. Student to vote? Any comments from the public?
Good move.
Okay. All right, all in board vote, please. Motion carries 7-0. Hopefully that the future will bring Delta College to the Lodi great area, hopefully soon. We have another action item, Surplus Property Advisory Committee appointment of new members. Mr. Hearn.
Yes, we'd like the board to consider appointment of new members for this Surplus Advisory Committee for, as set forth. And if we have any questions on this, I believe Mr. Sun is here for that.
Any questions from the board? Mr. Heberly.
I do have one question. Is this, we're just getting the new members to keep the positions filled, or are they actually looking at some property right now that we don't have a plan for?
This is just for the property we have for Turner site, and this committee will be reviewing and bring the recommendation back to the board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the audience? Okay. Mr. Womack. Mr. Womack moved to approve. Second by Mr. Neely. Board vote, student vote, excuse me. Board vote. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Sun. Resolution 2015-16 to refinance the 2006 series of Measure K 2002 general obligation bonds. Mr. Hearn.
Thank you, President Nava. As we've done in the past, when the opportunity arises to be able to refinance general obligation bonds, in this case it's a Measure K 2002, and this is the 2006 series that we are refinancing. The estimated savings to taxpayers will be $976,000. And this is a saving to the taxpayer and nothing that comes to the district.
I would move approval, Mr. President.
Oh, move by approval. Any comments from the board? Any comments from the audience?
I got a quick comment.
Yeah, quick comment from Mr. Neely.
Thank you for the way you've been really vigilant on keeping track of this and doing this for taxpayers. And thank you very much for doing that. It's fantastic. It's almost $1 million savings.
Okay, been moved by Mr. Dawkins, second by Mr. Neely, that we approve resolution 2015-16 to refinance the series Measure K 2002 general obligation bonds. Student vote, board vote. Motion carries 7-0. All right, we'll proceed with personnel matters. Mr. Neely.
Move to approve personnel matters.
Mr. Neely has moved to approve personnel matters, second by Mr. Heberly. Personnel matters are only board votes, so I call for the board vote. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, comments from student representatives. We'll start out with Mr. Casillas today, okay? We'll reverse the action.
President Nava, members of the board. At McNair, we've been pretty busy since we're starting to finalize the year. So May 4th is going to be our blood drive, and SBAC testing has begun for 11th grade students. And advanced placement testing is beginning May 4th and will end on May 15th. We also have a junior class meeting coming up, which will introduce the senior year. Mr. Davis will give a speech on basically everything that comes along with being a senior at McNair. So we will also be hosting our prom this Saturday. So within student government, we're pretty busy making decorations for all that. So it's been a hectic week. But senior night is on Monday, May 11th in our Mamie Star Theater. Grad night is at Disneyland on May 16th and 17th. And HOSA competed in Sacramento at the state competition over the March break. I unfortunately do not have the results of that. Also, so in student government, we recently ended our class elections for the 2015-2016 school year, and I'm proud to present Roman Romero in the back. Roman, if you could stand up. There we go. That is our... He will be our new ASB president, so you'll be seeing a lot more of him. And also, Ms. Wong and Mr. Pierce received the Cortopassi Foundation Award. They will receive it on April 28th, and the recognition will be held at the Brookside Country Club. Ms. Wong will also be receiving that award, and they will both receive a $5,000 personal check, and the school will receive a $5,000 check to be spent at however they choose. Also, seniors are now being notified of college acceptance. Some of them have already turned in their intent to enroll. And currently our baseball team is doing really well. We're tied for first place, and track is 7-1 in dual meets. Also, our graduation plans are continuing, and our plans for the opening of the 2015-2016 school year are underway. So that's about it. But thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. I see good things are happening student-wise and staff-wise. Those two recipients on the Cortopassi Awards are very fine and very high award. I want to congratulate Roman for his elected position, and we'll see him probably next year. Carlos, are you prepared for your prom?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Hey, you need any chaperones, let me know.
I'll be sure to let you know.
Okay. Jay, Bear Creek High School.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Bear Creek, the seniors were very excited yesterday. We received our graduation cap and gowns, so that got everybody excited. Seniors are also excited for our senior day, which is tomorrow, April 22nd. This includes a breakfast by the school, a panoramic class picture, a hypnotist, and the CHP is coming to talk to us, so that's fun. Our sophomores and juniors are doing their 2015 CASP testing, which replaced STAR testing. That goes from April 20th to 23rd. In student government, we are working on our senior night posters for all spring sports. We completed our international rally and international night rally on April 10th. We had 18 clubs participate, and I believe Mr. Womack was there to watch the rally. Our prom is on May 2nd at the Brookside Country Club, and we are beginning prom court counting and decorations on that. We're very excited. Next year's student government elections will be May 4th through the 8th, and our final spring rally will be May 21st. We also had the privilege of having every 15 minutes drinking and driving program at our school last week, April 16th and 17th. This was a great experience I had the privilege of participating in. It was held by the CHP, and they had a big crash out on Whistler right in front of the school, and all the upperclassmen got to watch. It was really cool, and I think it got through to a lot of the upperclassmen. We are also having a Disneyland grad night on May 16th and 17th. We are also very proud to we sent 7 students to the speech and debate state championships at Vista Murrieta High School. And Ghazi, as you saw before, she was a semi-finalist, and Anthony Nguyen was a finalist. I believe that ranked him number 4 in the state, so very proud.
Congratulations to Bear Creek, their students and staff. That every 15 minutes is an eye-opener. My God, if it saves one life, my God, that's great. I've been aware of it since I was a teacher before, and I've seen some happening, and hopefully that it just sticks in their brain that this is what could happen pretty bad. Very good. Thanks again. Continue on with the agenda. We have comments from the public. Remember that state your name, and we will allow you 3 minutes. And I apologize if I mispronounce your name from your card. First of all, we have Gay Hardwick. Gay Hardwick.
Members of the board, Dr. Washer. Perhaps one of the greatest democratic principles held under our Constitution has been the promise of a free public education. We all know that that education is not free of cost to our government. It takes highly skilled workers called teachers to yield the desired result of an educated population. Our government has recognized the need to attract highly qualified teachers, yet here in our school district, the pay scale has not reflected an amount that will attract and keep a motivated and skilled workforce whose basic needs are met and valued, so that they can focus on how to continue to improve themselves and the education they deliver to the students. Since 2008, the cost of living has continued to rise, yet your teachers' salaries have not increased. New teachers are paying back student loans while trying to support themselves on the salaries offered to teachers the first 5 years, who are struggling just to pay their rent, their utilities, their food, and their transportation work costs. The prospect of purchasing a home is out of the question, far out of reach for even the combined 2 newer teacher salaries. I've heard it said, well, if they were all the way over on the pay scale, they'd be making more. But those additional units are not free, and young teachers can't afford the cost to move over on that pay scale. As older teachers such as myself, we're not retiring because we don't have generous pensions such as police and fire and some other government workers. Of course, no Social Security. The upper end of the teaching pay scale is not enough to yield a decent retirement for a woman who has no other support because she's become widowed or remains single. It's not enough for a man to retire to support his wife who took secondary jobs so they could raise a family. Those of us who raise families know how much it costs to educate them. Tuitions have been steadily rising 10-15% per year for 15 years. Add to that the cost of insurance premiums that we have to pay prior to reaching the date of Medicare at age 65, and nobody's going to be retiring early. In summary, I've worked in education because I love what I do, but I need to be able to survive on my own and have a decent life. Because costs have continued to rise around me for the past many years, my salary's not kept up. I will not be retiring anytime soon. My own children, 2 of them teachers and 1 school psychologist, all struggle to pay their educational loans while working in an industry that's underpaid and fraught with the stress of wondering if you are ever, after all your hard work, going to get ahead and have that decent life you thought a career in education might provide. If you drive young professionals like them away by low pay, who's going to take their place and stay? Less qualified workers who can't get hired elsewhere? I encourage you to take another look at the value that teachers bring to our nation. We deserve a fair increase. Please negotiate fairly, value your teachers, and please offer a fair contract now.
Allie Fetzer. Allie Fetzer.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you as a member of this community and as a teacher in our district. My name is Allie Fetzer and I teach English at Tokay, but my real identity as a teacher lies in my maiden name, Larson. My grandfather, Ellerth Edwin Larson, dedicated his life and his career to making Lodi Unified a better place, and now that torch has been passed on to me. It is because of his selflessness as an educator that I'm a teacher today. Before he died, I promised him that I would become a teacher in our district and continue the legacy that he left. I'm not a numbers person. I've struggled in math my entire life because I was born to be an English teacher. I've always had an affinity for books, school supplies, and cardigans, so this came as no surprise to anyone who knew me. As an English teacher, I'm much more inclined to believe in the power of words. But this district has heard and not listened to the words of its teachers for too long. So instead, I've come tonight having prepared some numbers for you. 13, the number of years that I spent in Lodi Unified as a student. 63,782. the current number of dollars that I owe the federal government in my quest to become a highly qualified teacher. 600, the number of hours I worked for free in the classroom teaching at Tokay as I was receiving my credential. This does not take into account the innumerable hours that I spent at home and at school preparing for my first ever time as a teacher. 4,241, the number of dollars I spent in the last year alone on professional development, books, classroom decorations, posters, and supplies for my students. 500,000, the total number of dollars that the school board wanted to give to teachers as a one-time raise to say thank you for all of our hard work. And my final number, 140. 140 students who asked me to be their mom, their friend, their advocate, and most importantly, their teacher. 140 students that I wake up for every morning, and 140 students that I fall asleep worrying about every night. Somewhere, the board has lost the message that investing in teachers translates to investing in our kids, but we are the ones who see and love them every day, giving 140 minds the attention that they so desperately need. This isn't about a raise. It's much bigger than that. This is about respecting teachers enough to give us a fair contract so that we can attract and keep highly qualified teachers and not hinder the progress that our district has recently made.
30 seconds.
The more you invest in us, the more we invest in our students, and the better our community will be. I don't work because of you, and I don't work for myself. I work for these people, and I work for my 140 kids who give to me in more ways than I give them. I sincerely hope that you will see that valuing your community and your students means showing how much you value and respect your teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ally. Karen Minnick.
Good evening, members of the board, Ms. Washer. My name is Karen Minnick. I'm the Bear Creek High School speech and debate coach. First, I'd like to tell you that instead of being with my family, who I haven't seen in over 5 days, I'd like to share with you the successes that we had at this past weekend's state speech and debate tournament. Your Lodi Unified students made you very proud. As you know, Ngazi Elobike from Bear Creek placed 18th in oratorical interpretation. Jocelyn Howard from Lodi High placed 13th in thematic interpretation. Anthony Nguyen from Bear Creek placed 4th in original prose and poetry. He was also awarded one of only 1,000 Gates Millennium scholarships for a full ride to UC Davis. Additionally, the Bear Creek Speech and Debate team was awarded the Big Valley Leading Chapter Award this year from the National Speech and Debate Association, one of only 110 in the country. All of this only reiterates how important our coaches and staff are, and that all coach stipends that were cut during more financially dire times should be reinstated immediately. We shouldn't even have to ask. But because we do, it only serves to further illustrate that we are in an abusive relationship with the district, defined as exploitive, insulting, and mistreating. You seem to think that we will continue to tolerate the belittling and demoralization and keep coming back and back and back for more and more because of the children. You continue to exploit and prey on our good nature and commitment to the students we serve. A student that will just be happy with what we're given, that will never leave you because of them. But that time is quickly coming to an end. We'll no longer tolerate your prejudicial treatment, such as giving bits of service to all teachers except special ed, who are by far have the hardest job of us all, and you belittle us by congratulating us for our accomplishments on which you brag, but then punish, threaten, and deny us what we need to survive, both in the classroom and at home. If this relationship were fair and balanced, we would receive the technology we need without special grant requests and the salaries that we deserve. But God forbid we say anything about it, because we don't want to offend you for fear of further retaliation towards ourselves or our students. You abuse us monetarily and control us with money. You think our money is your money. money. We don't get to share your profits, but we're the ones who sacrifice when money were tight. Teachers are 60% of the budget and therefore should receive 60% of the incoming state funds, which are finite. The rest goes straight back into the staff and schools which you serve, including adequate technology for the 21st century. We should never have to beg for what we need to teach the students that you and society have entrusted to us. Where else does the money need to go except straight back into the system? The coffers of the reserve accounts are full, but our bank accounts are empty. Any good business owner knows that you must reinvest in order to be continually successful and maintain a high-quality product. You're smart, educated people. We can't understand why you continue to abuse your position and basically blatantly ignore our basic needs, which daily devalue us, especially when some of you have children and spouses in the ranks. In order to restore the balance in this relationship and end the abuses, we must demand that you offer us a truly fair and balanced contract to recruit and retain the staffs that serve you.
Martha Snyder.
Good evening, Mr. Nava, members of the board, and Dr. Washer. Christian McCullough is a busy place. I'd like to start my comment this evening by thanking Bear Creek High School for the outstanding Yellow Ribbon Teen Suicide Prevention Training they delivered last Wednesday. I especially want to thank the juniors and seniors, many of whom were former Christa students. They were well prepared. Kudos to the teachers and staff of Bear Creek who made our training possible. More than 800 students were trained on Wednesday, many future Bruins. I would like to thank those of you who joined Christa McCullough Middle School and family for our annual open house last Wednesday night. Thank you for supporting our book fair. Our school raised $4,000 in new books. Our DSN club will put the cookbook Mr. Womack gave us to good use as we add cooking to our after-school passion activities. I again invite you to join us this Saturday for our third annual 6th and 7th grade Family Day. This year we have 55 families attending. We expect 200 participants. Professional development for Lodi Unified and Northern California educators starts at 8 a.m. in the library. Quality technology, integration, and Common Core training will be provided by Discovery Education's Spring Virtual Conference. If you cannot attend the whole day, I hope you will stop by between 10 and 2 to see our newest families having fun wearing white. Christa McCullough is the place to be. The Christa McCullough teachers and staff, along with me, hope to see you this Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Chris Beach.
Good evening, board. My name is Chris Beach. The last time I spoke to you was about a month ago. I talked about being part of the working poor. You obviously didn't listen to any of that or care about it, because none of the offers have been any better than what we had then. So let me try this from a different angle. Because of the low pay, we are having trouble filling positions. No one wants to work here. There are several postings that get only 1 or 2 applicants, and sometimes none at all. The times that there are only interviewing the 1 or 2 applicants, and they find out that neither one is worth hiring, they repost that position. That is a waste of our time, the resources, the personnel, and money. Reposting positions because nobody wants them. The district is right now living on the loyalty of its employees. Loyalty will not last forever. Eventually, the people are going to go where the money is. So after the quality workers are gone, who is left to hire? Only the ones that nobody else wanted, the bottom of the barrel. That scares me as a parent with 2 children in this district. Who's going to be in the kitchens? The bottom of the barrel. Are they be cooking the safe food for our students? Who's going to be in the custodial? The bottom of the barrel. Who's making sure all the schools are clean so that our students stay healthy? Who's going to be driving the buses? They give a license to a lot of people nowadays. Do we want the bottom of the barrel driving our buses? M&O. Who's going to be repairing things on our buildings? You want them to blow up? The paraeducators. We want them to know what they are trying to help the students learn, not the students teaching them. Special services that helps everything else run. Where are you going to be without them? The technology department. They run all your computers for you. You won't find any quality people at the bottom of the barrel, so why hire from it? Whoever has said that our pay is competitive has flat out lied to you. We are becoming the sweatshop of school districts. It is in everyone's best interest to offer fair wages. Fair wages for quality workers. Thank you.
Lori Bradley.
Good evening, Board. I'm Lori Bradley. I'm from Reese School, and you've heard me before, but since Mr. Neely had thought that we were reverting to hyperbole to make our point, I wanted to share some cards that our staff has written that are going to be dropped in the mail shortly. I have one that was a little too long, so I'm going to start with this one. I've been a teacher in this district for 20 years, and it saddens me that this board and administration does not value the students of Lodi Unified. In the past 20 years, student services have either not increased, had funding reduced, or funding cut entirely. We spend mere pennies more per student than we did years ago. Reese is a non-Title I school, therefore there's little money for paper and pencils, let alone computers, iPads, and other technology pieces needed in today's educational setting. Office machines used to make copies for student work and notes home are regularly broken or malfunctioning. Interventions for struggling students is not available to those who need it. School nurses, counselors, and psychologists are spread thin, and children do not get the support they desperately need. Each year, there are more and more children with special needs, such as children with autism and other identified medical conditions. In addition to those are the children dealing with issues that are not necessarily identified. Parents in prison, in gangs, on drugs, etc., but all needs that must be dealt with nonetheless. These are increasing in the general ed classroom without quality, adequate para support or training. Such deficiencies cannot be ignored. Someone should do something about it. Well, here's some good news. These gaps are being filled. By who, you ask? Your Lodi classroom teachers. We may not fill the gaps as well as a full-time counselor, a full-time psychologist, or a full-time nurse, but we are making a difference. We have learned how to do many fixes on the copy machines. We spend time and effort and our own personal funds to do so. We work well beyond our contractual responsibilities and use our blood, sweat, and tears to meet the needs of our students. We put students first. It would be wonderful if our school board and administration felt the same way. Lodi Unified has always had the reputation of being an excellent school district. Ads for houses for sale used to read, "In Lodi School District." We need to continue to provide the best education for our students by continuing to hire great teachers. To do that, we need to have a fair and competitive salary schedule. We care about our students' education and the reputation of our school, and we hope that you do too. And I'm hoping that you'll all read all the cards that are going to be sent to you in the few coming days, because there's a lot of voices that you need to be listening to.
Scott Bradley.
Good evening, board members. I'm not here tonight to read what I have to say. I'm here to represent teachers who have given me cards and wanted to be read here. Excuse me, as I read different styles of handwriting, I may stumble a little bit. Dear Mr. Talcott, I'm a third grade teacher in Lodi Unified. I understand union and board negotiations is a compromise. However, I find it extremely unfair to offer teachers a bonus off the pay scale when neighboring districts have recently settled for 12% salary increase. Please show teachers the respect they deserve. Dear Mr. Herbley, I'm a first grade teacher in LUSD. I'm upset to hear that the district and the union cannot come to a fair contract. A fair contract can happen, and hopefully it can happen soon. Yeah. Mr. Womack, we need a fair contract as soon as possible. As an educator, I spend my personal money for classroom without hesitation. I feel that we should be compensated without hesitation. We do our best, please do yours. Mr. Neely, years ago, you asked our colleagues to support you so that we could have a voice on the board. Now, when I listen to you, it seems as though you forgot how to be our voice. I am disheartened by your lack of commitment and loyalty. Mr. Neely, I was here last board meeting and was shocked at your rude and disrespectful behavior towards our union leader, Jeff Johnson. Please be respectful and control your temper from now on. Dear Mrs. Halkin, being an educator in Lodi for almost 2 decades, it is hard to imagine not being granted a fair contract for all the work we put in as teachers. Increased medical bills, house payments, cost of living increases, why doesn't our pay? Dear Mr. Herbley, I am writing to you to let you know that I am a first grade teacher at Silva Elementary School. I love teaching. I am also a wife and a mother, and it has been difficult to make ends meet with a new baby and not having a pay increase since 2008. Over $700 of my paycheck goes for medical insurance, not counting other deductions. I deserve the pay raise, and so does my family. I am a new teacher. This is a second career for me. I grew up in Lodi Unified Schools, and I am grateful to be able to give back to the district that raised me. However, when I see the salary discrepancy between our district and other local districts, it makes me wonder if I wouldn't be better off building my career in another district. Our salaries are not comparable, and my student loans and living expenses cannot be supported on these salary schedules. I need to think about my family and my retirement. All of my money that I put into my classroom, not to mention all of the extra time without reimbursement or acknowledgement, does take a toll on my family and what we are able to do. I would love to stay with Lodi Unified and continue to be proud to do so, but the current contract here does not seem fair. I fear that we will lose many amazing teachers due to this. I hope that we can come to some agreement that is fair soon. And I too have other cards that I hope you read as well.
Connie Simpfenderfer. Simpfenderfer.
That was close enough. I do have copies for each of you, may I? Yes? No? Dear Lodi School Board and Superintendent Washer, I'm here speaking this evening on my behalf and on the behalf of others who cannot figure out what's going on. I know the district and the CSEA union have been going back and forth for months trying to figure a fair raise in our salary. At least CSEA is trying to be fair, because I'm sure you agree that 1 to 2% offered by the district is not fair. We're in the 4th quarter of this school year, and the district does not want to give an increase to our salary schedule for this year, only perhaps a 2% for next year. And I don't understand why the district needs an attorney present during negotiations. How many hundreds of dollars per hour is the district spending trying not to give us an overdue raise in our salary? I'm certain that those from the district sitting across from the CSEA representatives are well-educated enough to figure out what's going on without the expertise of an overpaid attorney. Does the district have an attorney present when negotiating with LEA?
No.
Thank you. What I do understand is the cost of everything going up over the last 7 to 8 years, except our salary. I believe the original offer from CACA of 10% is a reasonable offer, considering everything listed below has gone up far more than 10%. And listed below, for those behind me, a gallon of milk in 208 was $2.65. 214, it's $3.15, that's 19%. A pound of bacon in 208 was $2.96. In 214, it's $5.48. That's 85%. A dozen eggs was $1.29. 214, $1.98. That's only 55%. A pound of ground beef was $3.68. Now, in 214 it was $5.98, but it's more than that now, and that's a 62% increase.
30 seconds.
Tide soap powder was $5.98, it's $17.97 now, that's 200%. Folgers $5.49, now $8.80, that's 60%. 24-pack Coke $5.48, now $7.18, that's 30%. 12-pack of water $1.90, now $2.50, 30%. Corn Flakes $2.34, now $2.98, 27%. Tomatoes 68 cents, now $1.18, 74%. Margarine $1.90, $2.98 is now 55%. Movie tickets was $7 in 2008. They are now $10, that's 43%. First class stamp at 42 cents is now 49. That's 16%. Please consider doing what's right and fair to the not just classified employees, but the employees of LUSD. Thank you.
Who taught you all that math?
Elizabeth Gambo.
My name is Elizabeth Gambra. At the previous board, Dr. Washer, board members, at the previous board meeting, a representative from Scholastic Publishing gave a fantastic review of the success of the Read 180 program used by teachers in the district. Some teachers also attested to the tremendous success of the program. This shows the importance of emphasizing reading and literacy and having librarians as well as staffed library assistants in any educational system. Presently, library assistants have their hours reduced. I want to find out when library assistants will be reinstated as full-time employees to be able to serve the informational needs of our students. I will conclude with a quotation by Harold Howe. What a school thinks about its library is a measure of what it feels about education. Thank you.
Lana Yarbrough.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Washer. My name is Lana Yarbrough, and I am a mild moderate special day class teacher, grades 2nd and 3rd. I have been teaching special day class at Live Oak School for 26 years. I have been a special education teacher for 30 years. I am extremely passionate about my job and love being a special education teacher. I am also a highly qualified teacher in the area of special education. I am here tonight to discuss two topics: lack of disparity regarding our special education teachers and students and teachers and administrative decision making. I would like to address administrative decision making first. Our SDC students are provided with textbooks each year at their grade level. These textbooks are not appropriate for our students. Our students are functioning far below grade level. When we ask for materials below grade level, we are denied. I have thousands of dollars of materials in my classroom that I cannot use. These purchases and decisions are made by people who do not know anything about my students. We are also currently having our special day class teachers give quarterly benchmark tests to their students at their grade level because they have been told to do it by their principal. Again, this does not align with the goals of our students' IEPs. Our Special Education Administration opened a mild moderate second and third grade special day class at Ansel Adams on January 5th. This class was necessary because our class sizes were getting too big. I was asked to help open that class. I went there on January 5th with an assumption that I was helping the new teacher get the classroom ready. Students arrived that very day and they had a substitute teacher. Thank goodness I had prepared some materials in advance or that first day would have been an absolute disaster. Lack of disparity in Lodi Unified School District special education also occurs in many ways.
30 seconds.
Not being given access to appropriate materials, not being allowed to attend intervention trainings, no bits of support, no special ed coaches, and the list goes on. We as special education teachers forge ahead, however, and provide an excellent education for our students. We spend our own money on materials to ensure our students are getting an appropriate education. I invite each and every one of you to visit my classroom and see for yourselves why we are your teachers. We, as your teachers, deserve a fair contract. We have most certainly earned it. Thank you.
Mary Caruso.
Dr. Washer, board members, I'd like to read to you a letter that I received from a family about one of our teachers. Her name is Teresa Van Wagner. Meeting Teresa has been a huge blessing in our family. She has made a dramatic change in our lives, and we say our lives because not only did she help our girls, she helped us by showing us a way to help our girls. She taught us ways to teach the girls to improve their language. Before the help of Teresa, our girls were speechless. Not one word would come out. Now our girls tell us full stories. She's not just an ordinary teacher, she cares for our children, and she is so dedicated to her job. Teresa will go out of her way to help us out in anything. She has changed our lives for the better. A few weeks ago, this wonderful teacher was on a list, and Lodi Unified did not welcome her back next school year. We have a whole folder of testimonies of a wonderful teacher who is not going to be working in Lodi Unified anymore.
Chris Funge.
President Nava, board members, Dr. Washer. You know, I understand that a lot of times people think the negotiations need to be impersonal, business-like, adversarial. But I'm here to ask you to make it personal. It's very personal. Personal choices and sacrifice. My wife and I, in 2008, took a salary cut. We made a personal choice and a sacrifice for students, fellow teachers, to prevent layoffs in overcrowded classrooms. My wife and I lost over $24,000 during that time. We will never get that back. It's a sacrifice that we had to make. At the same time, my wife and I have made personal choice and the sacrifice to use our own money to supply our own classrooms with supplies, including books, science materials, instructional materials, paying for our own professional development at a cost of over $12,000 during this time, all during the loss of our salary. We've also been required to make a choice and a sacrifice. We had to choose between continuing to add to our retirement savings and our children's future. We couldn't afford to do both anymore. So we chose to stop adding to our personal contributions to our retirement savings to put our 2 children to college. And during this time, the rest of life, the world, the economy has moved on. At the start of our salary loss in 2008, the cost of UC Berkeley tuition was less than $6,000. 2015, as we now really know, it's over $12,000. Room and board went up the same amount. And during this time, we have never wavered to make a personal choice to support this district. The efforts to improve student learning. We've given hours upon hours of serving, math adoptions, foreign language adoptions, technology integration, including iPads and Chromebooks, helping bring in data systems, broadband upgrades,
30 seconds.
Leading at our school sites, providing hours of unpaid intervention for our students. Our story is not unique, but rather typical. The story of over 1,400 members making personal sacrifices. So please, please remember this when negotiating. It is very personal.
Cindy Bonini.
Good evening, President Nava, board members. I'm going to make this short and sweet. My name is Cindy Bonini, and I work at Lockford Elementary School. Back in 1998, when I first received the phone call that asked me if I would like to accept a job with Lodi Unified School District, I was ecstatic. Ecstatic that Lodi Unified School District would want me, the best district around at the time. Now in 2015, would I say the same? Ecstatic? No. But board members, you do have the power to change this. You can pull us back up on top to where teachers now receiving that phone call from Lodi Unified School District, well, those teachers will once again be ecstatic to accept a job here in our district, to join a district where the school board members respect and take pride in their teachers, where the district board members do their absolute best to attain and retain the best teachers in this profession, because having the best teachers in this profession will assure the best for all Lodi Unified School District children. Thank you.
Lisa Wilkins.
Dr. Washer and board members, thank you for for allowing me to speak. You've heard a lot about the contract and the financial parts of it. I want to talk about another part of it. I want to talk to you about professional development. the Lodi Education Association has asked for time for professional development. And I find this really important because right now at Murata, we're implementing the SBAC testing. And several of our teachers have had technical issues.
Oh, yeah.
The reason for that is because it's a lack of training. There's no time within the school day to train, and teachers are staying after contract time often to be trained by other teachers. And without this training, this technology is not being used to its fullest. I know we're investing a lot in technology. Let's train the teachers to use it effectively, please. Also, teachers are expected to be experts at their craft. And the way to do that is to keep training us. Send us to training. Right now, teachers are spending their own time and their own money for professional development. That puts a strain on their finances, it puts a strain on their relationships with their families, and it adds more stress to their lives. The district needs to be better about offering training that is effective and that teachers want to take. Let me give you an example. The next generation science standards are being adopted by the state and are going to be implemented in the next couple of years. Right now in our district, teachers should be leading the way for how we're going to execute the next generation science standards in all grades. Mr. Torlickson, you mentioned he was over at Middle College High School. Before he went to Middle College High School, he went to GALT, where the California Science Teacher Association president-elect is already implementing Common Core in her 5th grade classroom. Right now, the district has a wait-and-see attitude on implementing the NGSS. They want to wait to see what other districts are doing.
30 seconds.
We did that with the Common Core, and quite frankly, it didn't work out so well. Okay? The Common Core was on top of us before teachers were fully trained and felt very, very comfortable in teaching these new standards. So if you want to keep and retain the best teachers, you not only have to look at salary, but you have to look at professional development opportunities. Thank you.
Brenda Buraric.
Good evening, I'm Brenda Buraric. I am a teacher at Needham. And as you've noticed, I chose to wear white this evening amidst a sea of black and blue. And I wore white as a sign of hope. I hope that the district and governing board will choose to put aside the preconceived notions of what teachers are seeking to understand our realities and wishes. I hope that the district and board will understand that teachers have the best interest for their students at heart and are not money-hungry vultures. We are just asking to earn a living wage indicative of our dedication to our profession. I would like you to get to know a little about myself, just a single solitary Lodi Unified teacher. I'm not any more or any less special than anyone else in this district. I'm a product of Lodi Unified, Elkhorn Mini, Elkhorn long before it was Gate, Delta Sierra, Tokay, and then Bear Creek. I have always known that I wanted to be a teacher. Teachers like Mrs. Kraft, Mrs. Lechuga, Mrs. Nevis, and Mrs. Galbraith all helped to solidify this desire. I can only hope that I have the same impact on my students. At 8 years old, I became very ill. It took many painful, agonizing months to learn that I had developed juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, an excruciatingly painful and debilitating illness that affects every single one of my joints. My doctors told me that I would never be able to work for a living. Well, I had hope. Hope was my secret weapon. At the tender age of 20, a brand new mother, I almost lost my life due to an abusive partner. Yet, I had hope. Hope that I could make it through and provide my daughter with a better life than she was starting out with. When I finally got my credential, I never wanted to work for any other district. I was proud to say I was a Lodi Unified teacher. However, in the last few years, these are some of the experiences I've lived through as a Lodi Unified employee. In 9 years, I have moved around 4 different schools due to layoffs or displacements, and have had to change grade levels every year for the last 7 years. Have spent an average of $1,000 to $1,500 per year on supplies for my students because of the lack of money at school sites. Meanwhile, my daughter starts her school year without supplies because I can't afford to buy supplies for my classroom and for my child at the same time. My household has no luxuries, including internet, necessary for my work and my daughter's homework because there is not enough money to cover it. My daughter and I have had no vision or dental checkups for the last several years because the layoffs, lapsing coverage, caused me to lose my 100% dental coverage and drop down to 70%, which I cannot afford the co-pays.
30 seconds.
Vision, which we both need new glasses and I cannot afford them. My daughter has had to do without constantly having over $600 a month less due to salary concessions. She's missed playing sports, taking trips, or Christmas presents when I'm providing for my homeless students or those who have not had their basic needs met. My daughter will be graduating very soon, and she will have to find a way to pay for college herself because I have no means with which to do it. Despite all of these adversities, I still have hope. Hope that the district will begin to see us as the valuable employees that we are and decide that we deserve a living wage. Thank you.
Patty Litz.
Dr. Washer and board members, my name is Patty Litz. I'm a special education teacher of a SDC class, special day class, mild moderate, grades 4 and 5. I have 15 students. That's at the low end. I had 18 to start the year. A 3rd grade class at Oakwood Elementary, being that we're on Koya, has only 20 students. It's beyond me how Lodi Unified can see that a specialized education for a child with special needs has 18 students, sometimes 19 students in it, and there's only 20 in a 3rd grade class. Yes, I do have a power professional, and she is a power professional. Yay, CSEA. She helps me in all ways possible, but she is not responsible for the education of those students. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and my class, but it's typical of education, of all special education classes. My class ranges from a 5th grade student who has no letter or sound recognition, no number recognition, to a 4th grader reading at grade level who we recently had transferred to a general education class with RSP support. My lesson planning involves creating lessons using the curriculum that is given to me for grade level 4 and 5, but I do have to research for things to help them at their ability level in order so that they can understand, learn, and master the skills needed to access the grade level standards. Many times this is not achievable. Besides report cards, I write progress reports for each student on their IEP goals. Most times, there are 3 to 5 progress reports per student. For me, that's at least 45 goals with progress based on data that I need to maintain. A general ed teacher does not have to do that. Special ed students have federally mandated IEPs once a year. Each IEP takes 3 to 4 hours. At a 20 to 25 page, sometimes 30 page federal document to write. Then there is the meeting, which many times takes place after 2:30. So this 3 to 4 hours, that's an additional 45 hours of work to my load, to a special education teacher's load.
30 seconds.
Those hours don't include contacting and collaborating the meeting with the nurse, the the psychologist, the occupational therapist. All those things need to be coordinated. This year, I needed, I don't have a very formal presentation here. This year I needed to give 4 different state tests. I had to give a Kappa science test, I had to give a CMA science test, I have to give the new CAA to a student, and I also have to give the SBAC student to my 4th and 5th graders. So all of these hours that are put in with this, special ed, and we do get 3 release days, which is 21 hours, but those 21 hours do not cover all the hours that is put in. I love teaching my special ed students, and I'm sure all teachers love teaching their students. And may call me crazy, but I really do love the paperwork. I love paper pushing. I just would like to be fairly compensated for all the work that I do. All teachers deserve, and support staff deserve a fair contract.
Sonia, run, help.
There was a time when I first started in this district that I was temporary and probationary for much longer than I probably should have been, and I wasn't able to speak during that time. So I'm not speaking on behalf of myself today. I'm speaking on behalf of a not tenured SDC teacher who was scared to speak because of her position. Hello board, Dr. Washer, teachers, paraeducators, SLPs, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, custodians, and more. There's a great unjust happening in Lodi Unified, not just for the teachers, but for the workers who make the district run. I, as a teacher, may be the face of the classroom, but without my paraeducators, my students would not be getting the individual attention they are getting. On a daily basis, my paraeducators take students to the bathroom, run errands, wipe mouths, change diapers, change students who had accidents, hold hands of students who need extra support, run lots and lots of groups, help with behavior modification, watch students at recess, and help me check things off my to-do list. They help to keep me sane, and they allow me to bounce ideas off of them. My paraeducators are the backbone of my classroom, and together we have created an environment of acceptance and joy. The fact that paras who have been in the district for years are only making $16 an hour is beyond sad. These amazing people do more for me in my classroom than I can ever even begin to tell you. They come early, they stay late, all out of the kindness in their hearts, and they are not paid for it. Bus drivers, cafeteria workers, custodians, these people are the legs we stand on, and they demand respect. Pay them their worth. I apparently still have my 30 seconds. I do want to get my 2 cents in. You know, I've heard a lot of people speak tonight, and I've heard some really lovely and intelligent things said, and I've also heard some really hurtful things said, and that really saddens me. I think that I've said it more than once at this podium that we need to come together and work as a team. Mr. Hearn turned me on to Patrick Lencioni, who said, an organization has integrity. It is healthy when it is whole, consistent, and complete. That is when its management, operations, strategy, and culture fit together and make sense. Right now, we don't fit together and make sense. For some reason, we have bred this view of unrest, and I believe it was said on a Facebook page somewhere, agitation and aggravation, that we all need to just be angry with each other to get what we want, and I disagree with that. I think the board has done some really magnificent things in the last 4 years, and I think teachers have done some really magnificent things in the last more than 4, because I can't tell you what I felt about that previous board. But I just think that if we stop having this dysfunction between us, unfortunately bred possibly more by one side than another, that we could come together and really find a common ground. Thank you.
Carol Thomas.
Good evening. I'm Carol Thomas, members of the board, Dr. Washer. I can't really add too much to everything that's been said. I hear teachers being an advocate for their students, and I hear teachers being an advocate for other teachers, and I commend them all. I want to say to Allie, your grandfather would be proud. In my volunteer life, I am president of the Cal Club of San Joaquin County, and I'm a reader for the University of California. And it is the #1 public university in the country, and I'd like to let you know that 6 students from Bear Creek were admitted, 2 from McNair, 6 from Tokay, and 5 from Lodi High. Wow. Quite a feat when you're trying to get into the #1 public university, and they received 91,000 applications. So congrats to those students and to the teachers and parents that got them there. I agree with Sonia. I think that we, well, and the world, we need to be kind to one another. We need to treat each other with respect. Even during negotiation of all things, we need to do that. Our country needs to do that. And hopefully we can be a model for that in Lodi Unified. I did write to the board, and each of you might have received my postcard already, but I'd like to amend it. I thought about it, and I said, I'm making today what I did in 2007. That's not true. I'm making less. The number may be exactly the same, but cost of living, I totaled it, and I actually left out 2 years of the prediction for this 2015 and 2007, and it totaled 14.9% cost of living. If you gave us that, that's not a raise. That's just cost of living. So on top of that, these teachers behind you, as well as our classified employees,
30 seconds.
deserve more than that. They've worked hard, they've been loyal to this district, and they deserve a fair raise. Thank you.
Brian Pilkington.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Brian Pilkington. I live at 13100 Victor Road in Lockford. I really can't add, like Ms. Thomas just said a moment ago, to anything that the members have said before here. But I'm here about respect for teachers. Respect, which is a really critical thing in our business. Our children respect us, and we have to respect our administrators, and respect is what we live by. I've been with the district for over 20 years and worked with many wonderful administrators, starting with Dave Mendy, a wonderful man, Deb Erickson, terrific lady, Henry Catatani, just an amazing man, Jenny Sue Medford, and of course Catherine Pennington. I feel honored to talk about employer respect. I believe this is the first time I've ever been at the board in over 20 years. I personally, as many other teachers here, have demonstrated incredible dedication and respect for the wonderful administrators that I just mentioned, and all of your administrators that you work for. You would bend over backwards to help them to accomplish what they wanted to. I wish I could say the same for a board member. And this presentation to the Lodi Tea Party, the Lodi Tea Party group about teacher salaries, benefits, and retirements. This board member addressed the group and made many disparaging remarks about teachers, their salaries, and retirement. I was very embarrassed by the remarks, and just sat there for a long time without saying a word. Until this board member said, and I quote, "Kindergarten teachers should not receive the same pay as high school teachers."
Oh my God.
That's a lie. Crossed my heart. He further went on to say, "I know a third grade teacher in this room that teaches third grade because there's only 20 students in a class instead of 32. He posed a question to the group. Should a teacher who has 20 students be paid the same as a teacher with 32? You know, I really feel disrespected I sat there and I feel totally disrespected because the image that the board has to present to the public is an image which we present to our parents, our children, of respect. And we need the support from them, we need to support them, they need to support us. And I'm just not talking about dollars. Chris went on to say very personally about this, and this truly is personal.
20 seconds.
Thank you. I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to enlighten the board about the public disrespect that's been taken. So, thank you. I'm sorry I had to do that.
Dave Hurley.
President Nava, members of the board, Dr. Washer, Mr. Hearn. Thanks for the opportunity to speak on teacher recruitment and retention. I was here a couple weeks ago, and I thought I made tremendous sense. But apparently I didn't, because I'm back again. So I'm going to try it from a little bit different angle tonight. My question is, are we satisfied with our district's ability to attract the best new teachers available? I noticed today that we have 15 positions unfilled as of the third and final posting, and every one of these positions requires a special education credential. Knowing that many of these positions have remained unfilled at the start of the current school year, are we satisfied with our ability to recruit appropriately credentialed teachers for our most vulnerable students? There are 2 points I want to emphasize. The first one, we're currently at a competitive disadvantage to recruit and retain our best young teachers. The second, there are significant negative consequences for our students due to a competitive disadvantage. This is just a little side note, but every day we look at our students' eyes, we see the hope, we tell them education is the way out, we tell them to give more than you give more than you get, we tell them to be honest and be fair. And I think that's all that anybody's asking. Given the status of our current negotiations leaving our district handicapped by starting teacher salaries as much as $6,000 less than surrounding districts for a first-year teacher, how will we ever recruit and retain the best young teachers? We are at a competitive disadvantage. And Mr. Nava, I came up with an example that I think that you will be able to relate with. For those of us who have been in the area for decades, we know that Edison High School in Stockton won many championships in the 60s. By the 70s, Stagg High School became the powerhouse, winning championships in multiple sports. By the end of the 80s and into the 90s, brought Lincoln High School into the top of the local sports world with consecutive football championships, trips to the section finals in basketball, and dominance in nearly every sport. Today it's a certain private Catholic school in Stockton that's on top of the sports heap. What do these schools have in common? They had or have access to the greatest numbers of the best athletes in the area. Coaching is a factor, but it takes a backseat to the skill, the ability, and the competitive drive of the athlete. The competitive disadvantage and disparity between schools has become so great that 2 leagues were realigned to provide some semblance of competitive balance. The reality that money has become more and more a factor in high school sports through year-round training, private coaching, attendance at camps, and providing the best equipment. There's a parallel with recruiting teachers and a trend in high school sports, because if all factors are equal, money is going to be the deciding factor. If you're a young teacher, it's quite easy to do the math. $6,000 annually amounts to a down payment on a house in 5 years. It means a reliable vehicle. It means increased savings for retirement. It means an increased ability to participate in desired outside activities. It means the ability to support an extended family. If you're a special education teacher, on top of the salary differential, it means you don't have to pay $3,000 to $4,000 to get your BITSA taken care of.
Time's up, Dave.
That's too bad, because I have something to say. If you think that we're continue to be a viable contributor to our students' future, particularly our most vulnerable students, as a district, we need to be able to recruit and maintain the best young teachers. It's clear that money is available for a fair contract. If there wasn't any money available, we would not be here. We've proven that before. If you think that we can recruit the best teachers under the district's current proposal, go ahead and continue on. But if not, it's time to move on, Senator, and take care of business. Thank you.
Susan Eberly.
Good evening. Last week I sat towards the back of the room and I was listening to the teachers around me, and they're hurt. And I think the CSA members are hurt also. So this is what I believe that we should do. Okay, you can ignore me before. But they talked about being part of a team. And when times were tough, the people gave up not only the raises, but they probably, I wonder how many millions of dollars they spent out of their own pocket to sustain this district through the hard times. And there seems to be no recognition of that. The votes here have been no for supplies, no for needed equipment, sometimes no for class size, and it's time for a change. It's time to say, okay, we have all these hurt feelings, we've said bad things to one another, we've made bad proposals, and it's time to move forward, because it only takes 4 people. That's only 4 people on the board to agree to I understand that we want to have some kind of reserve, but we don't need this big of a reserve. Right. And if we penny pinch our classrooms so they don't have the materials, and we penny pinch so that we lose our good teachers, and we penny pinch so we can't attract the best teachers, then you know what? That reserve that we're saving for some reason to save our district won't be worth saving. That's right. Yeah. So I'm asking you guys to forgive whatever people said that bothered you, and that we forgive whatever you said that bothered us. But let's move forward and give all of our employees, our CSA members, and our teachers the raises that they deserve. And I'll be honest, I don't think they asked for enough. Yeah. Let's fix this. Thank you.
Last person, Van Ha Tokal.
Good evening, board and Dr. Washer. Thank you very much for letting me slip in a little bit. I had another meeting at the other side of town. I just got here.
Settled for 5%?
Well, I'm not here to talk about because we went through similar situation a year ago. It's not a pleasant feeling. I understand both sides. I am wearing black. I'm supporting my colleagues. However, I'm not talking about that tonight. I'd like to address a few different things. As you know, things happen in my life, so I needed a change. And I was thankful that my principal allowed me to make the change. I moved down to kindergarten. And I've been in kindergarten for 2 years. It's the hardest job I have.
Yes, it is.
Somebody said kindergarten is easy. I was like, what? But it's the hardest job. It's the hardest job I ever had to do. What I brought with me today is one copy for each one of you, which I did some studying about. There's a study that came out from Center for Public Education, and it says starting out right pre-K and kindergarten full report. And what I'm thinking the last year when I'm in kindergarten, you know, I was teaching upper grades for many years. This is actually my 32 years and 26 years in Lodi. And so I did not pay attention a lot to kindergarten. But now I do, and I feel that at our school, and I can probably say about North Stockton schools, our needs are very big or great. And we need, a lot of our children did not attend preschool. They came in, they live in poverty, a lot of foster kids. So what I'm asking for you when you're planning for programs and things, you consider pre-K for Wagner Holt, for Creekside, for Oakwood, all of those schools. Because if they had never been in school before, they live a very unstructured life, moving from home to home and all of that. They have no support from home, and they walk in a kindergarten class that function as like a first grade class now. They already have an unstructured life that they have no discipline. Now the curriculum is so hard that make that added on to their behavior that not desirable. It's very difficult. So if you could consider pre-K, and the report is here for all of you to read. It's 6 pages, but it's not. Sorry, can I say other thing? One thing that bothered me in the past week, I have heard about comments made in the last board meeting, and I want to be objective. I want to see it myself. I can't come here every time. And I couldn't get it on, it's not archived on the website and the street, even today when I was trying to look for it. So if we have live streaming, we need to keep up with that. So then, you know, because I don't want to hear this person say this, that person say that. I want to hear it myself, and I like that. And another request that I like to have is, I know our vice principal is retiring, leaving at the end of the year, not retiring, but she's leaving at the end of the year, and we are looking for a new vice principal for our school. We really need a full-time principal or vice principal, because you know, you have school that have maybe the same number of children as our school, but their needs is not as much as our school. You know, the schools in Stockton. So we talk about equality, equity doesn't mean it have to be the same. So that's the thing. And also, a full-time counselor would be helpful.
Moving on with the agenda, we have comments from employee group representatives.
Before I begin, Mr. Nava, members of the board, I'd like to thank you for taking the moment at the beginning of the meeting. The loss of Gary Fujihara affected all of us profoundly. I had Fuj as a teacher at Lodi Middle School back in the early 80s, where he was teaching art, and I had the privilege of being his colleague at Lodi High when I first began in this district over 20 years ago. So definitely shocked by the loss of such an amazing instructor.
Thank you, Jeff, for your comments.
Good evening, President Nava, board members, and my union brothers and sisters. Respect, noun, a feeling or understanding that someone or something is important, serious, etc., and should be treated in an appropriate way. That's all that we're asking for. That's all that you've heard tonight. It seems really simple, doesn't it? To acknowledge that the work that teachers and all employees do is important and serious, that would appear to be self-evident. And I believe that every one of us here believes this to be true. Yet here we are again asking you, the Lodi Unified Board of Education, to show teachers and all employees some respect. I could spend my time tonight, as I've done in the last several addresses, talking about what is happening in our neighboring districts. I could share what this district has publicly acknowledged its revenues to be, but that hasn't made any appreciable difference. The information is out there. and it's not fabricated. I want instead to share two stories that have caused me to pause in the last week and reflect on these topics. Last week I was asked to join an interview panel, and during this panel I was reminded on multiple occasions of what our district accepted norms for a meeting will be. One of those norms says that we will agree to be hard on issues, but soft on people. This means that we passionately advocate for our ideas, we stand up for what we believe in, but we do not get personal. Before the last meeting of the Board of Education, I stood just out there in the foyer in front of 50 or more teachers, and I reminded them of this. I told these passionate educators that above all, we must remain professional and respectful. We have to tell our stories and hope to convey to you, our elected officials, of the valid and just reasons why a fair contract is necessary. And I have to tell you, I'm proud to be associated with such a dedicated group of people. All of these people have adhered to our accepted norms for a meeting. I was proud of beginning teachers who came afraid of what it might mean to their careers, who stood before you, some with tears in their eyes, and pleaded with you to hear them. I was proud of veteran teachers, the ones who not only remember what it was like to be a new teacher, but who advocate for our profession without fear because it is the right thing to do for students. And I stood before you as the properly elected representative and spokesperson of these dedicated and courageous teachers, and the board did not follow district norms for a meeting. You made it personal. Mr. Neely, your comments were personal and unprofessional. Your comments were the antithesis of respect, and I'm saddened by it. We talk about the difference teachers make in students' lives, and this week I saw that firsthand. Many of you know that my wife, Nancy, works at Beckman Elementary in your trustee area, Mr. Neely. And last week, Beckman was administering the SBAC test. After the tests on Wednesday, a young man, a fifth grader, was sitting in the office long after school had been dismissed that common planning day. When asked why he was still in the office, the young man replied that he didn't know where his mom was, that she was supposed to pick him up. My wife and another teacher learned that the young man is living in a hotel near the corner of Cherokee and Turner Roads. The student is homeless. My wife and her colleague agreed to take this boy to his mother because allowing him to walk from Beckman across town doesn't seem right. When they arrived, the boy's face went white. He could see that the room he and his family were staying in had been emptied. The manager approached and in front of the boy began to explain that his mother had checked out. She'd gone in search of enough money to pay for another week's lodging. My wife and her colleague took the boy to get something to eat and returned to the school in an attempt to track down his mother. And when they reached her, she informed them that she had returned to the hotel, so they took the young man back home. This is what respect looks like. It's about doing the right thing for kids. My wife can't be here at these meetings because she's taking care of her own 3 children. And if she's watching this, I hope she knows that I'm very proud of her for what she's done. But what my wife did is no different than what any one of these teachers and professionals here tonight would do, and they do it daily. Each day we face the challenges of offering opportunity to students who can't read, can't write, can't fluently speak English, come to school not knowing where they will be sleeping tonight, and not knowing where their next meal may come from, or whether they have shoes or a coat for school tomorrow. And we provide these things out of our own pockets. We provide meals, clothing, school supplies, and I respect the hell out of these people, and I want you to respect them too. I want you to show them through a fair contract settlement that this district values them more than its initial bargaining offer of 1% salary, one time, off schedule, effective mid-year. Would any of you have felt respected if your employers had offered you the same? Last week, Leah met again with our district counterparts at the bargaining table. We've asked for a fair settlement that acknowledges that if the district receives more revenue than it is currently projecting, that employees share in that increase. We've asked the same for 2015-16 as well. We have stated that we believe professional development is critical to the increased responsibilities, knowledge, and skills that teachers have to have today. And we proposed increasing the number of professional development days. We believe respect is allowing teachers to be equal partners in the planning, implementation, and delivery of this professional development. Are we indeed partners worthy of this respect? We also believe that respect means compensating teachers for the time put in before the start of each school year, the time that we spend preparing our classroom for our students, as well as closing our classrooms at the end of each year in anticipation of cleans, extended school year, or summer school. 2 days, 2 out of 5. Teachers believe that 2 days out of 5 is a respectful amount of time to do this, leaving 3 for professional development. And yet we were told that the board does not agree and will not change the district's current bargaining position. Sadly, we cannot accept the terms the district has currently put forth, and last week the association filed for impasse with the Public Employees Relationship Board in the hope that with the aid of a state mediator, we can reach a solution which both parties can respect. I was informed this morning that PERB has granted that request, and we will be working with personnel on selecting a mediator to move forward. We are standing tonight in solidarity in an effort to show our resolve. We do not want to follow in the footsteps of our neighbors in Stockton, but we will. We have to. And we have too much self-respect not to.
Good evening, President Nava, members of the board, Superintendent Washer. I'm Deborah Ladwick, President of the CSEA Lodi Chapter 77, and I want to thank you again for this opportunity to speak. Tonight, I would like to let you all know that I received word today that CSEA will again be a sponsor for the upcoming Got Kids Casino Night. So we're very pleased to be able to support the efforts of this foundation to enhance the educational opportunities for our students. I'm also pleased to report tonight that our CSEA chapter executive board is now complete. We elected our chapter treasurer, Austin McGarrett, last Thursday evening, and we're really excited that our leadership team is complete and ready to move forward. At our most recent chapter meeting, we also elected our alternate delegates to our upcoming annual conference, and I'm thrilled to report that all of the alternate candidates were first-time conference attendees. So we've got a lot of new people that are really interested in becoming more involved in our chapter and our association, and we're really excited and hopeful that we can take as many of our alternates as possible. In addition, this evening, in front of you, you'll see that our organizing committee has provided you a small meal. This represents a typical dinner that we can afford to feed our families. When you consider that we've only seen we've only seen our costs to remain employed with Lodi Unified rise over the last 7 years, it's really cut into our ability to provide more than this for our families. We've had to endure salary reductions and furlough days. Our salaries are now back to our 2008 level, and our health care for employee costs only has risen nearly 500%. As evidence here this evening, my union brothers and sisters and I remain committed to our goal of a fair and equitable outcome to our current negotiations. We're here this evening to provide input, stay informed as you make your decisions regarding all the areas of the district. Our negotiating team will meet again with the district on May 6th. and we remain committed to a fair and just settlement at that time. In addition, I just wanted to mention, remind you all that spring for CSEA is a time for celebration. And I was very honored today to be able to participate in the CIF Dale Lackey CSEA Student Scholar Awards at Hutchins Street Square. There were about 50 honorees, and 3 were from Lodi Unified, which says a lot for our district. There was no other district there that had that many honorees. And we also had a model coach that was awarded today from Lodi High. So it was just an excellent event and a really fun opportunity to see the outstanding, spectacular student athletes that are coming from Lodi Unified. Let's see here. In addition, I just have one more thing to add, that for our celebrations, we're coming up on Classified School Employee Week, which will be the 3rd week of May. And I've been asked by the State Department of Education to help choose the statewide classified school employees this year. And with that, I'll leave you, and I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you. We'll move to the agenda. Comments from board members.
Listen up.
Mr. Neely.
Mr. Johnson, I would like to apologize to you for my comments made at the last board meeting.
Thank you, Judge.
Frustration. Could you move your head just a little? There you go. Thank you, sir. They were made out of frustration, out of anger, and that's never someplace that you should go from. Your comments tonight were very well stated. The matter of respect, I did not display that to you, and I can assure you that I will do that in the future. I can also assure you that you and I are going to disagree on some things, okay? And but I just want to state some facts. I put some things out on Facebook one time, and somebody said, why didn't you just say that? Oh, well, that's a good point. I didn't say that. So I assume that people know some of this stuff, but I want to start with just a quick story. It was last year, after we settled with LEA, and it was here at a board meeting, and I went up to Mr. Johnson. And I wanted to talk about maybe the possibility of adding stipends for combo teachers, because I strongly believe in that. But I made the mistake of saying, well, you guys just got your salary increase. And Mr. Johnson corrected me on the spot immediately. That was not an increase, that was a restoral. That's a good point. And since that day, I have never referred to it as an increase. I've never referred to it as anything other than a restoral, because that's what it was. Now, I want to give you guys just a few numbers, all right? Let's start with the year 2009. That was the year that Lodi Unified had its greatest amount of revenue, and that was $252.7 million, all right? Our lowest point, on the other hand, and remember the concessions came in 2010. Our lowest point, on the other hand, was 2013, and that was $218.4 million. That's a decrease of $39.3 million, 16%. That's how hard that we were hit. Now, that's not the only thing we were hit on, because in addition to that, there were deferrals. And that's where the state says, oh yes, we're funding you this much, but by the way, you're not going to get it until next year. So the state owed us a bunch of money at the time also. 2014, the state started to bring back some of that money. They started to restore the district. It wasn't a complete restoration by any means. They funded us at the amount of $235 million. That was still $17.7 million below the funding in 2009. It was 7% lower than what it was in 2009. So, to me, that's a restoral. Now, that's the year that we restored the salary for everybody in the district. But the district was still down 17.7 million. In 2015, it's a pretty good bet that the funding is going to be 257.7 million. This will be the first time that we actually get back up above the revenue of 2009. And we'll get back up above that by $5 million. That's 1.98% over what it was in 2009. There are many things, and you guys brought a lot of them up tonight, that we haven't been able to restore yet, but we would like to work on, and obviously you would like to work on as well. Remember, we cut summer school. Well, we're adding that back in. We still have some issues on class size. 712 is still not as high as where it should be, or so low as where it should be, excuse me. Yeah. We've still got some work to do on that. We've got some work to do on the SDC classes, like it was brought up. That has to be worked out. We don't have as many counselors as we need. We need to add to those as well. During that time when we didn't get any money, what we were doing to try to make ends meet, we were taking the deferred maintenance money that we got, and the state was allowing us to sweep it over into the general budget to help pay the bills. So there's a whole lot of deferred maintenance that didn't get done. We eliminated a lot of positions that we haven't gotten back. Coaching stipends, that was mentioned tonight. That's one of the other things that we'd love to restore. Academic coaches, tech coaches, we're starting to get some of those back now. So these are things that we're starting to bring back in. The librarians, you guys remember we had that issue with the librarians at elementary level? We cut those way back. And then we had to even combine that with the computer tech. So you either got a librarian who really knew computers or a computer tech that was really sharp in the library. You know, I mean, it was bad. Intervention teachers, and we mentioned training tonight too. That's another thing. And the district and LEA are in complete agreement on that. We're trying to add 2.5 days. Both sides are asking for that, for more professionals. And yes, there is a disagreement on how that 2.5 is taken out. That's absolutely correct. Mr. Johnson's absolutely correct on that. We mentioned that we cut a lot of administrators out. Those positions haven't been restored yet either. So the point that I should have made before in a much more eloquent manner than I did. And again, I apologize for that. And I'm doing this with the utmost respect for everybody in this room, because you're right, we couldn't do it without you. Absolutely not. And I've heard, you know, how hard teachers work. You've never heard a disagreement up here. We've heard how hard CSEA works. You've never heard a disagreement from up here. You've never heard a disagreement from anybody about the value of our employees. You're not.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to explain right now, is that we're only $5 million ahead of where we were in 2009. I see you shaking your head, but I can show you the numbers.
Your expenses aren't the same with what they were, Mr. Neal.
What's that?
The expenses are not the same.
Right, expenses are not the same. Oh, you know,
You cut us $9 million in CSEA alone.
Expenses aren't the same, that's right. That's just because of all the things that I mentioned that have to be restored. Those are expenses that we cut out so that we could save jobs. I'm just telling you, you know, that's what it is. Those are the numbers. And Mr. Johnson, you're right that the expenses aren't there, and that's because they were cut. The first thing that we did was restore the salaries. Now it's time that we try to take care of some other. That's just one person's opinion on that. But again, we are about 1.98% ahead of where we were in 2009. That being said, if you have any questions or anybody would like to see my numbers, I'd be happy to show you. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Neely.
I'm not done. One more thing. Saturday, I went out to Lodi High and I met with a gentleman who put on he puts on a basketball tournament. He uses our facilities. The man's name is Ralph. I can't think of his last name right now, but I could really remember that first one. He tried to get our facilities to put on a basketball tournament. And I was, he called me because he was having trouble getting use permits. And as it turned out, I guess he had asked for Lodi High, he'd asked for Tokay. I went to, and Tokay said, no, we're going to use the gym. So I went there, and it was not being used. He asked for McNair, he didn't get that. And at Bear Creek, we didn't help him out much. This is a guy who I think they have about 40 youth basketball teams that they bring in. And they're not asking us to give them the facilities, they want to rent them. They just want us to help them out with it, to facilitate that happening. They bring a lot of money into Lodi because there's a lot of parents that come here. They stay here for lunch, they stay here all day long. I think it would be in our best interest if we help them do that policy. And the last thing is, also on Saturday at Lodi High, Love Lodi was out there, and they were cleaning up an area there, brush and all that. And I thought it was kind of ironic because the area they were working in is right in front of the new track that none of them can get on if they wanted to. But here there was a community out there helping out the school district. I was very impressed. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neely. Any more, Mr. Haverly?
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to thank you all for your attendance and for your comments and for your work. Those of you, that I see a lot of familiar faces out there, those of you who know me and know my family, we have a long history of teachers in this district and administrators in this district. So thank you for your work, thank you for coming. I did want to offer congratulations also for Bear Creek High School speech and debate. I was going to bring that up, but somebody did, so I just wanted to echo that. Great job. Also, last Saturday was the State Science Olympiad competition held in Turlock. And of course, I forgot all the results sitting on my desk at home, so I don't want to actually commit to say who got what, but I'll report that again because those kinds of activities where our kids are out there and they're working hard, they're producing, and they have a lot of adult assistants volunteering. Also, there was a math tournament recently that is the Lodi Unified Elementary Math Tournament. I did bring this one though. The result, it's just great hearing the wonderful things that the kids are doing. For the team event winners, we have first place was Elkhorn Elementary, second place was Larson Elementary, third place Orchard Elementary. For the individual events, the individual winners, I wanted to read their names to get them in the board minutes, kind of a public record, just to acknowledge their winning and their hard work. First place was Sabrina Chen. Second place, Riker Henny. Third place, Felix Koo, I believe it is. And so congratulations to all of them for their hard work in the Lodi Unified Elementary Math Tournament. Great job. And that's it.
Ms. Gassel?
I have something I think would be of interest to all of you. It's actually on the agenda. We kind of skimmed right by it. As all my colleagues, I'm sure, share this thought with me, I do appreciate you being here. Everything you said, we listened to, and a lot of you are people that I know, that I've taught with, that I'm friends with. And I'm going to present this information that's actually on the agenda, but I have to tell you that I'm talking only for me. I'm not representing the board. And I also have to tell you that I've missed the last couple of weeks, and so my information might not be all that correct. So please keep that in mind. Michael, would you please put item, this would be consent agenda A, and it's item A9 on the screens. And remember that we've told you this so many times before. We are very hamstrung by the fact that we cannot discuss negotiations, and so I can't do that. But this agenda item is on the agenda, so I can talk about this and at least offer it and make some comments about it. Okay? So this is taken, Michael, take him just a moment. But basically what it is, the title of it, it's A9. There you have it. It's where the board, and again, this is public information, so it's okay for me to say this. And Michael, the opening page is just fine. The one you were just on, the title page is fine. Thank you. So we have settled with one of our employee groups, and you can see which one. It's the Lodi Unified Supervisoral Group. I think I think there's 50 or so people. I might be wrong about that, but they're basically they supervise in many different capacities. They accepted what we offered, and I don't want to take the time now because you can go home and look this all up for yourself. But those two TDF files, one is the public disclosure, so that's for the whole world to read, and the other one is the salary schedule the way it looks now. And again, this comment that I'm going to make is okay, I hope to say, because I'm just basing this on historically, and I'm the longest member of this board. I'm going into my 9th year. What we do for one group, we usually can do for all groups, but not specifically, of course, because you're all different in what you would like and so forth, but in general. So when you have a moment, I mean, we kind of just skimmed over this, and I do want to say to the people in this group, they had the willingness to accept this. I just wanted you to look at those documents because it shows you what we offered and what they accepted. If I had my way, we would have a town hall meeting where there would not be this incessant barrier because of fair labor practices, where we can't talk about current negotiations. We cannot. I just think this might be interesting to you to see what they accepted. So I offer that for what it's worth, and keep in mind, in a rare moment, I have been gone for several weeks. Usually I would call Dr. Washer and bring myself back up to date. Circumstances have not allowed for that. I have not done that. So I may be, giving you a bum steer, but it is a public disclosure, and you should please look at that, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kessel. Mr. Womack?
Thank you, President Nava. Just quickly, it's been a while since the last meeting. I've been busy going to open houses, Delta Sierra, Oakwood, also attended the Block M for McNair Awards. And I visited Larson School. There was a lady that came up, Denise Reich, who came up and spoke to us at the last board meeting. And one of the comments she made hit home really good with me. She says, well, two things, and I loved it. She says, you guys and my husband don't know what I spend. You're probably right. But another thing she said was, you haven't been to my class. So I went home and I sent her an email. And I said, look, there's 52 sites, and I do go to places. I just haven't been to yours, but I'm going to take that as an invite, so I'd be happy to come over there. So we set that up. I went and visited for a couple hours over there at Larson, a pre-KK and a 1-2. And Ms. Reich has these deaf and hearing impaired students, and very impressed with how she can work with that population. And the kids were awesome to watch too. Enough on that. I went to open house at McCullough also, and had a very nice conversation with Martha Snyder, who kind of showed me the computer and what have you, and what they were doing there. I attended the Julia Morgan Parent Info on Common Core. Nice showing of parents that showed up to that. And Also, somebody came up and talked about how all the good sports are being done by other districts, but I'm going to have to differ with you on that one here. Right now, Bear Creek and McNair, I believe, are both undefeated in SJAA. And you guys are going to be meeting pretty soon.
Yep.
That's going to be a good game. That's good. And you know, if I go to one of the games or the other, I'll wear the right hat, but I don't know how to split the hat with you guys playing each other, but that'll be a good one.
One backwards and one forward.
Yeah.
As long as it's green and blue.
As long as it's green and blue. But we have some outstanding athletes and coaches that coach them along there, and I don't want that to be overlooked in that conversation about our athletes. And congratulations again to the poetry, the kids, and the essay contest. And that's about it. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Womack. Mr. Freitas? Okay, first of all, you know, I get kind of disturbed by the fact that the word respect is very strong. I come from a teaching educational family. I'm one of 11. 7 of them are educators, administrators. I have a daughter that is a teacher. My grandson's a teacher. And I was a teacher for 41 years. And I haven't heard the strong word of disrespect. My gosh, I have no disrespect for what passion you people do, the passion of teaching. Teaching our youngsters. My gosh, that's the future of our nation. I just want to reiterate that I do not have any disrespect for any. I know that since we're going to impasse, and again, like Ms. Castle said, no negotiations, we will do the right thing. We will do the right thing because we are including the LCAP, and we're including all students, all parents, all other factors that involve the LCAP, and all teachers that are teaching our students. Again, I have great respect for what you do because you have a passion of teaching, and that's so important. That's why I ran for the board 8 years ago, or 7 years ago, and I re-upped for another 4 because I enjoyed what I did. I came in at the worst time in the nation, okay? I mean, I was up to 2 o'clock in the morning. I didn't sleep for days because we wanted to do the right thing with the teachers, and I appreciate what you teachers did at that time. My gosh, it was enlightening to see that we came together in the fact of giving some consents to balance our budget and continue on with the education of Lodi Unified. And we're trying to come back again, like we're restoring and doing all these kinds of things, and we want to make it right. That's very important for me, and I know for most of the board members, or all the board members, because they do come from teaching, and they do come from some professions that, I mean, that involve youth. Okay. I want to mention that I went to the Chamber of Commerce Young Business Owners. Mr. Hearn, was it Tuesday or Monday? I can't recall. But anyway, it was so early in the morning, like 8 o'clock, and I want to thank Mr. Hearn. Mr. Hearn, the reason I'm telling you that, because I'm a retired person, and that, you know, still... I have Mr. Hearn. I want to thank Mr. Sun, Ms. Katoski, and Ms. Astro on the special ed program. We were at a panel with this board, and they had numerous questions that we gave answers to, and they were very appreciative of what they asked and what we answered. And they believe that we have the best school district in San Joaquin County. So, I mean, that comes from a good, positive thought. All right, I belong to the Retired Teachers Association. I'm a life member of San Joaquin 20, plus a life member of NEA. So, as you know, since I have the passion to teach, I'm going to stay with education. So I get all the journals and so forth that you people get, the same thing that you get, I get that also. But I wanted to tell you that the California Retired Teachers Association offers 6 scholarships to students in San Joaquin County. And we have 3 recipients from Lodi Unified School District, and those scholarships are geared to students that are going into education, and they are a value of $1,000. Maya Castellano and Ana Martinez from Tokay and Jennifer Finney of Bear Creek received those scholarships. We also give 2 mini grants, and they were given to 2 Lodi Unified School District teachers. One is Patty Radiello, I hope I got the pronunciation right, from Millswood Middle School. We gave her $250 to buy some costumes, materials, props, and crowns for children. She has a theater class that she invites people from all over the community in the elementary school, about 700 a year, so that's a good thing that they have there. The other one is Marilyn Platt from Henderson, and she used the money, the $250, to rejuvenate the campus greenhouse. They have been inactive for many years, and she's starting again with the students at Henderson. And about 5 years ago, I went there and bought some plants from Henderson. So those are positive things. Again, teachers, we're going to do the right thing. That's my personal opinion. Thank you. Let's continue on with the agenda. We have reports. Superintendent, any comments?
No further comment, thank you.
All right, we'll take about 3-minute break till you exit out, please.
Congratulations. I am impressed. It's great. Couldn't have picked a better candidate for that.
Thank you.
amount of money that I donated to teaching in my classroom, I can pay for my donation.
Minutes are up. Let's continue with our meeting, please.
That's different. And so did you. Oh. Yeah. Well, no.
Have a good evening, gentlemen.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
We have a report. The board will discuss options to allow public access to district track facilities. Mr. Hearn, can you open this up for us?
Thank you, President Adams. As asked by at our last board meeting for us to further the discussion about access to the track facility, and we prepared a very brief presentation for the board to consider and discuss. So if I could have the first slide, please. The background is the security enclosure for Lodi High School has impacted casual public use. And again, some people think that the fence went up because of the track, and in reality it went up because we have been attempting to enclose all of our campuses and have single access points at each one of them, as has been suggested by our security consultant. And this is unfortunately the trend of schools today, in that trying to control access onto the board with a single point access points. Any new modern school that you see, that's usually the way they are designed. I haven't seen any that are not designed that way. In response to the community's request and direction of the board, staff has developed options for limited public access to the track facility. Next slide, please. We came up with three options. A joint use agreement, which we started before this came to the board, working with the Lodi Track Club. This gives us a shared liability. It would be supervised by the track club, and it's a way also to support the track club in that if you became a member, you would be supporting that organization. Limited weekday, weekend use during non-student contact times. Again, penal code requires that anybody coming onto the campus during school has to sign in, and it's very limited on who is allowed to go onto classrooms and so forth, such as parents and so forth. If you're a non-parent, then you have to be supervised at all times or be fingerprinted. It would be 100% district liability. One of the suggestions we would have is you could hire Windwalker security at a cost of $22 an hour to supervise the track when it was open for general public use, and that would be simple. Limited weekday use during non-student contact times, again, for the same reasons. The site custodial staff holding responsibility for closing the facility at dusk each weekday. It would be, again, 100% district liability, and it would be unsupervised. So those are three options that we had come up with, and I'll give it back to the board for discussion.
Any board comments?
Thank you, Mr. Nava. Boy, this is much more like it now. That's what we're used to looking out there. It's about all we ever have. And thank you guys for staying with us. I appreciate the work that went in on this, and the fact that it looks like that we're starting to move in what I consider to be the right direction. I know there's got to be three other members that agree with me on this, but I think this all ties in together with what I was talking about earlier, the basketball team that was trying to get our facilities to use. And I don't think the district is helping our community enough. And this may be a direction that we want to go to in the future, is maybe teaming up with the city to come up with joint use facilities or something like that. Personally, I like number 2 for some weekend use. Now, when you're talking about higher windwalker security, it would only have to be for those weekend periods, I'm sure, right?
And this particular one, we would do it at all times to be supervised. We could vary it if you wanted to, and only have them there on the weekend.
Yeah, kind of a hybrid between 2 and 3.
Right.
Yeah, I would support something like that. And I know we say 22 bucks an hour, so what are we talking about, having it open from maybe 8 hours a day from, I don't know, noon on or so?
On the weekend?
Yeah, okay, 10 hours would be 220 bucks a day, $440 a weekend. You know, I think that's something that the general fund might be able to afford. I'm not even sure that we need them there, but, you know, if you think we do, if the board thinks we do.
Someone would have to open and close. So
Someone would have to open and close.
And we felt that Windwalker would be the best solution.
You don't have to stay there the whole time.
Yes, they would stay there.
You want them there the whole time?
Yeah, to keep it supervised, yes.
Right. But is there a possibility we could work with the city to get the, the partners to come by, or to get the police to drop by or something like that to kind of help us out?
We could look into,
as a matter of fact, Lynn, you sent out an email about agenda items for the 2x2 meeting. I'd like to see that on there. Okay? And then that way we can talk to the city of Lodi and actually talk to some of the council members about what we can do. So I think you're moving in the right direction here. I like those. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Any other board comments?
Yeah, Mr. Nava. Mr. Neely, didn't you state the last time, I thought, that if you were to provide a gate that allowed just people to go in,
Like a turnstile.
like a turnstile?
It wasn't my idea.
It was
Joe's.
Joe Him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Joe credit.
Mr. Hearn did look into that.
Yeah, Mr. Nava, we did look into that. We would have to have someone there because of ADA compliance. If you have those type of turnstiles, you do have to have a gate that is open to those that are handicapped and cannot go through that type of turnstile. If you go to, like somebody said at Mickey Grove Zoo, that was the example that was used. There is someone there that will open a gate if you cannot go through those devices.
So it becomes a compliance issue rather than a handicapped person that wouldn't be jogging on the track anyhow.
I don't think we could exclude those in wheelchairs.
I know you can't. I mean, I'm just bringing up what is to me a very silly issue, but I understand the federal and state governments and their people very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Darrell. Any other comments? Any comments from the public?
Good evening, board members. I would just like to comment before last time I wasn't prepared to make any comments, so I wrote things down this time. But just as a comment to what was just said, I understand that all school facilities have to be open to people with disabilities, but wheeled vehicles are not allowed on this track, even if they're wheelchairs. So that shouldn't apply in this case. And I'm a physical therapist, so I'm all in favor of ADA, believe me. But since the last school board meeting, I went online to explore how other schools and school districts approach the issue of having their tracks available for public use. I found that there are many schools that do not open their tracks to the public and many that do, and do so without requiring a use permit or fee. And in the conversations I saw online, it is obvious that in instances where the tracks are behind a fence and locked gate, many people climb the fence to use the track anyway. This seems to me to be more of a liability for the school than allowing easy access. In no instances that I saw did it mention that having the track open to the public led to vandalism or crime or assault. The people who come to use the track do not want to damage the track, and the people who wish to do harm are not deterred by a fence and a locked gate. In fact, I guess no one is deterred by a fence and a locked gate. A track is not the same as a pool or a gym, and the rules that apply to usage of those facilities should not apply to an open-air track. No preparation or lights or supervision are needed for track use, and extra cleanup is not necessary. My main issue with this dilemma is this. $400,000 was given to the Lodi Unified School District by citizens of this community to help build this facility. Not only was money given, but the impetus to get the project done was provided by this fundraising group. The administration was not involved in this fundraising, nor were they involved in pushing to get the project accomplished. The money and enthusiasm were provided in good faith, and I feel that they demonstrated a willingness on the part of the community to partner with our local high school. If the school was unwilling to be a partner with the community, that should have been said ahead of time. There certainly was time during the 2 to 3 years it took to raise the funds to say to the community, don't expect to have access to this track when it's built. But that was never said. Also, what was never said was, thank you. While our son was in high school and a member of the track and field team, my husband and I donated about $2,500 to the track team itself. This does not include the occasions that I drove kids to Fleet Feet in Stockton to buy them good running shoes that they could not afford, or gave money to the coaches for the same purpose. In the years since his graduation in 2006, we have donated over $20,000 to the Lodi High Athletic Department, specifically to the Lodi High Athletic Department via the Pump It Up run, which we started. It was our wish that no child be unable to participate in athletics because they couldn't afford whatever was needed for their participation. We underwrote this event 100% so that all the proceeds were made available for donation to all 4 Lodi Unified High School athletic departments. Once donated, we don't know how the money was spent, but I do know that we never received a thank you from the Lodi High Athletic Department. Our donation of about $25,000 toward the building of this track was entirely separate from the above-mentioned donations. I think it's terribly unreasonable to ask students to pay to use the track at the school they attend. Local elementary schools such as Heritage, Washington, and Joe Cerna have successful running programs that encourage participation in a healthy endeavor. Requiring them to pay to use the track would prohibit their participation. Is this our goal? I want to make it clear that the Lodi High School coaches are an amazing, dedicated group of people. They truly care about the students they coach and spend hours and hours away from their families coaching their team, and with wonderful results on and off the track. However, it seems to me that the administration at Lodi High School views the public as the enemy. I understand that vandalism does occur on school grounds across the country, and this is most unfortunate. However, I feel a particularly hostile attitude from this administration, and I'm not sure why. In light of the generous gestures that have been made to the Lodi High Athletic Department, I feel that a hand outstretched for a handshake and gratitude is more appropriate than what has been demonstrated to our greater Lodi community. Lodi is a small town, and I think it's in everyone's best interest to work together in a spirit of cooperation and goodwill, rather than hostility and alienation. I hope that a new partnership can grow from these proceedings for the mutual benefit of all concerned. Let's use this opportunity to teach our youth how to build a community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Calkin.
Does staff have a recommendation regarding these 3 options?
As again, we were working with the joint use agreement with the Lodi Track Club, and that was for many reasons. CIF is also involved with this, and we have to be very careful on how we allow students to use the facility other than regular track practices. We almost had a problem where when we were allowing them to use the track, that CIF said that they could become ineligible because it was an organized activity of the school district prior to the season. So those are some of the things that we needed to work out and be careful with. Again, looking at it as a district perspective, we like the shared liability, and we like that it's supervised. But we gave these three knowing that the board could take any one or combination of these options.
Thank you.
Mr. Hearn, what do we do at Tokay now?
Tokay has been joint use agreements, and it has not had an open track use as 2 and 3 describes.
Yeah. Tokay remains locked up most of the time, and you see people jumping the fence. I think some people even have a special ladder built. There's one part on each side of it. There's some pretty sophisticated intrusions going on.
Very, very difficult to control.
It is.
It's an experience I experienced with school facilities, and once you enclose those facilities, and I'm just prime example of Stagg High School, they have an artificial football field, artificial diamonds on softball, baseball, and all those facilities are enclosed and have no public people have access to them. They lock them up as soon as they finish their practices. Of course, there was a bond that passed, and that's how they got the money to get facilities. And we have to understand also that I understand that the foundation that donated this $400,000 for Lodi to build the track, there was no agreement before, and that track was built for the use of the students at Lodi High School and the people that are in Lodi Unified School District. As we also donated, the Lodi Unified donated half of it in order to complete the project. So I like limited weekend, I like for some access to that to start out with and see how that works with the security supervising. That will eliminate some type of a liability because it's supervised. I don't know, have you discussed this with the administration at Lodi High School?
They are aware.
They're aware. Mr. Miller? Yes, sir, Mr. Womack.
Thank you.
Yes.
2 things. One is expectations, and the other is yin and yang. So, balance. I think what we are looking at here is a matter of trying to balance the primary use, which is to have a good facility for our children, along with access and safety for the citizens and the liability issues that we have. So I'm not sure any one of these 3 by themselves does that. The other part is expectations. If that Lodi Track Club had not come up with $400,000, that track wouldn't be there. It just wouldn't be there. They did that, they put a lot of work into it, and they came to the board. The board did generously say, okay, we're gonna put it over the top. But I believe, and it's before my time, but I believe at some point in time, the expectation was, we're raising this money so that we can have access for the community to there. So I think there's an expectation there. When we look back in hindsight, we can say, well, we've got all of these issues, we've got these concerns, but my belief is that we have to come up with some sort of a balance between protecting this asset for our children, which is primary, and also being a good community member and letting some sort of access by the community. And also the last meeting we talked about liability. We also talked about setting precedent. So there was concern that if we do something here at Lodi High School, we're going to have to do it district-wide. I disagree with that. And the reason I disagree, this is a little different issue. If there's another high school out there that there's a booster club that raised $400,000, haven't come forward, I haven't met them yet. So I think that we can do is look at something as a pilot. the best thing to do before you say, well, we're going to do this and we know it's going to work, or we're not going to do it because we know it's not going to work, is you got to try it. So what I'm proposing is we look at the liability issues and all those sort of things, and the community who has an expectation of using that, and then our expectation of protecting taxpayer dollars and the liability issues, and put a balance in that. So that's where I'm coming from, is to see how we would make that meld together. Thank you.
Ms. Gassel?
I liked everything you said, Ralph. I truly did. I'm a great believer in compromise. I'm wondering, and I'm sorry, the woman that spoke before, I didn't get your name.
My name's Lori Merrill.
Lori Merrill.
Oh, Lori Merrill. No, can I ask you, what do you think? I mean, you're so heavily invested, money-wise, emotionally, and every other-wise. What do you think there's a viable compromise, as Mr. Womack suggested?
Well, I understand that. I mean, I'm hearing a general feeling that the fence is necessary to protect the school, and that's what all schools are doing. But I haven't heard personally that there's been vandalism or problem with when the track was open. So I don't understand why this is an issue. The track is separate from the school facility itself, and I think that people that come to use the track don't then have evil intent to destroy the school grounds. I don't think that population is a liability. And I do think the fence is a liability because people are climbing over the fence. And I think they're more likely to get hurt doing that and sue the school than if they were allowed access.
Dr. Washer, I'm an intern, and Mr. Hearn, I mean, as board members, we do have to be aware of liability issues, of course. Dr. Washer, would you share your thoughts on this with us?
Sure. Did you want? I don't want her standing there. If she did.
I don't mind.
I think that the fence, to me, is a separate issue because we have consultants that we have hired to go around to all of our school sites. We have talked to you about that many times, to give us advice on how to best protect the children and staff at the schools. And fencing or keeping a perimeter around the schools is one of the things that they have come up with that they suggest as being necessary in our climate to keep our schools safe. And it's not vandalism specifically. It's also personal safety issues and property safety issues. So I don't think that the fence is, I know that the fence is not because of the new track. The fence is because we had consultants come out, experts in the field of safety, to tell us what we needed to do to keep our schools safe. And that's why the fence is there. The track is part of the school. There are children on it, there are staff members on it, it's part of our campus, and that's why the fence was put there. Just like fences are going up or have been going up in other schools as well. So I don't want you to think that a fence went up because a new track went in and it was there to keep people out, because that's not true. I do think that there is a way that we can work on having this open for the community. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little more concerned about the weekend use than I'm a little more concerned with number 2 than number 3. I think with number 3, we still have folks around. We could have our own staff responsible for the closing of the gates. We wouldn't be expending any other money. I think that number 2 will cost you more than what you think it will cost when you add it all up. There are runners who like to run early. There are runners who like to run in the evening. Some people like Saturdays, some like Sundays. Then there's the holiday issue. There's the off-track time issue. There are all those things that come into play. And I do believe that you will have questions, at least, about other school site facilities having the same type of opportunity. Whether you make those decisions or not is up to you, but I do think that that will surface. So I'm a little more concerned about number 2 than number 3. I'm a little more comfortable with number 3, even though it is unsupervised. The weekend is a little more concerning in terms of those other kinds of things that might happen than the non-student contact time during the weekday. That's my thought.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Carroll. And please come back. I didn't mean to.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
My only question, I'm sorry, my question here is, I understand the liability issue, so would the board be interested in allowing the public to use it, but allow, I guess, a document for the public to waive that liability if there should be an accident? I mean, I've been using that